Hi everybody, it's me again, David Slade, Commercial Real Estate Partner at Wright Hassall, back for my third vlog. Hope you're all keeping well. I've had a really good time since my second vlog a couple of weeks ago. We took my 14-year-old son away to Norfolk for a long weekend, spent 2 days at the beach. He has autism, and autistic kids and adults tend to love the sea. It's sensory heaven for them, which it was for him. So we had a really enjoyable weekend. If you haven't been away or not going away for a longer period of time, do recommend a long weekend away. If you can steal 1 day away around the weekend, great for the mental health, and the weather I'm sure will hold up into late September, hopefully, as it often does in Britain, and I'm sure it will this year. Now, the legal press is still full of commentary on the register of overseas interests, which I covered in the last vlog a fortnight ago, so visit that for my potted summary. I won't cover it again. That aside, it's been a quiet week, so I thought I'd share a bit of know-how I learned a few days ago, an example of, well, you learn something new every day if that maxim is indeed true. Now, I do quite a lot of commercial property investment sales and purchases, and those of you who do as well will be very familiar with the concept of transfers of going concerns, TOGCs in property investment, the ability to avoid VAT on an investment purchase on the basis of the sale being a transfer of a business, in this case a letting business, because the seller's business is taking the rental income from the leases and the buyer takes on those leases and thus the same business. And it's commonly known as well to most, I think, that the sale of a freehold in a single let property to the sitting tenant isn't a TOGC because there's no business being transferred. Before the sale, the tenant purchaser was not using the property for the purpose of carrying on the same rental business. Now, I must confess, until a colleague had the issue earlier this week, that it hadn't dawned on me what the position was where the freehold purchaser had been one of the tenants in a multi-let as opposed to a single-let building. Was that a full TOGC? Or was it a partial TOGC excluding the unit which the purchaser occupied? Or was it not a TOGC at all, as would be the case with a single-let property? Well, the answer to that is it is a total TOGC. One of HMRC's manuals says that if the freehold purchaser is only one of several existing tenants and the freehold is sold to him with the benefit of the other tenants' leases, a TOGC of a property rental business does take place. Good news, but I never knew that before. Now, there's a lot of flexibility around the HMRC guidance on transfers of going concern. For example, the fairly recent change to the guidance, well, recent in the last 10 years perhaps, which allow a disposition by way of a grant of a long lease, subject to existing leases that thus become under leases. That's now treated generally as a TOGC, whereas it never was before, because the seller wasn't passing across the same interest, rather it was passing down a lease. Similarly, surrenders of long leases subject to existing under leases, which become head leases after completion of the surrender, can now be TOGCs, whereas they weren't before. As an example of that flexibility in the regulations and guidance I'm speaking about, I remember a transaction some years ago where I sold an office building for a client that wasn't subject to any internal leases of suites within the building. It was subject merely to a couple of rooftop licenses, perhaps a substation lease, producing a very modest income. But we got tax advice that there was sufficient economic activity for a TOGC there to exist. Now, quite often there seems to be a legitimate way with property investment sales to use the TOGC guidance to avoid VAT, and that's a good thing for the investor, as by taking away the VAT, it avoids that double taxation hit, the stamp duty land tax on the VAT. Okay, that's enough from me for today. Keep enjoying the summer. Here's hoping the weather stays cooler and kindlier, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.